Has a goal and scores majestically.
Oh my word! Fabulous!
Oh, what a strike that is. Simply spectacular.
Oh, it's an absolute beauty, isn't it?
The best goal of the night.
It all starts here.
Hello and welcome to this week's show as we look back on another exciting weekend in the National League. It was match day 31, 23 goals were scored, and this man got to witness 3 of them live in action. How was Tamworth versus FC Halifax Town?
It was an interesting game. You know, Tamworth, especially in the first half, had plenty of opportunities. Unfortunately for them, they just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. A mixture between poor finishing, very good goalkeeping from Sam Johnson in the Halifax goal. And Halifax do what they did best. They kept it tight. And then when they got their opportunities, they scored the goals.
It was Super Bowl 59 at the weekend, so it's only right we kick off the National League coverage with our MVP. We spoke to him on multi-match live. Josh Stones bagged a hat-trick. Aaron, you must be buzzing with that.
Listen, there's nothing better than when you go to your new club and you get on the score sheet. You know, he got his first goals for the club. To walk away with a match ball, you know, he'll be absolutely delighted.
3 great goals as well, weren't they?
Yeah, and they were all different types of finishes. You know, 2 on his left foot, 1 with his head. For a striker, there's nothing better than scoring, but when you're scoring different types of goals, and it just gives belief to your teammates as well. With Ollie Pearce obviously being suspended and unavailable for the game, it was a big game for him to come in and fill those boots, and he did it perfectly.
What happens now when Ollie Pearce comes back?
Well, that's the question.
Isn't
That is the question. You know, you look and you say, can they play together? The way that you'll play, their style of play, is to go with one striker. Does one play maybe wider? You know, there's so many different permutations that Adam Hinshaw could employ. But I think at some point, you do see the 2 of them playing up top together, because they're both quality players and they're both intelligent enough to be able to form a formidable partnership at this level.
And if they win their games in hand, it means they'll leapfrog Barnet.
Yeah, listen, unfortunately, you know, there's so many different clubs play different number of games. So it's hard to really get a true evaluation of the league table. You know, even as you go down, you know, in and around the playoffs, you've got Watchdale who just sit outside it, but they've only played 26 games. You know, some people have played as many as 30. So it's a little bit difficult. You do say you'd rather have the points on the board than have the games in hand. But, you know, if they keep putting in performances like that and winning games in that fashion, then yeah, they've got every chance of going on and being champions.
It was a difficult weekend for Barnet, being the only side in the current top 7 to drop points away at Boston. And probably what's even more damaging is the red card that Daniel Collins got. Yeah,
I think that it's definitely a blow. Look, away from home, getting a point, you'd expect them to beat Boston. You know, on paper, you look and you say, really, Barnet should be taking maximum points. Boston's second bottom, Barnet sitting top of the division. But once you go down to 10 men, and we've seen in the National League, anyone on their day can beat anyone. So I think that Dean Brennan will probably look at that game and say, do you know what? We still managed to get a point out of it. At the end of the season, that could be a valuable point towards the end target that they're hopeful for.
And Forest Green Rovers left it late once again. It seems like they can always find a way to win in the National League.
Yeah, well, listen, Steve Cottrell is the master at it. You know, he won't allow his team to ever feel like they're beaten. And again, late winner, you know, on at the weekend. But throughout their team, they've got goal scorers littered everywhere. And it doesn't matter who it is, someone will always pop up and get that all-important goal.
And the biggest winners down at the bottom of the table, Maidenhead beating Southend United 1-0. That's a very important win for them.
Yeah, it's huge. Takes them out of the bottom 4. Obviously, with Fylde not playing, their game against Aldershot being postponed. So, yeah, it was a big weekend for them. You know, that will give them a lot of confidence, and it just puts the pressure back onto Fylde. But having not played, it just means that they now slip back into that bottom 4, and Maidenhead can, you know, kind of enjoy a few days at least being outside of the relegation zone.
We spoke to Josh Wright on Multi-Match Live, a brilliant talker. I mean, I don't even play, but I would want to run through a brick wall for him. A very, very impressive point for them, and an even better post-match team talk with his players.
Yeah, listen, Josh is a very positive guy. He's somebody who looks at a challenge and wants to take it head on. You know, he's not afraid to say what he feels, and he's a very passionate guy.
People have written you off, I keep telling you. People have written you off, people have written us off, people have written the club off. We ain't giving up yet. We might be clinging on, but we're not just clinging on by fingernails, we're clinging on with our hands like lions and tigers.
We've been having a look on social media as well to see what you, the fans, have been saying in the National League following the results at the weekend. We'll kick things off at York, and a player that we know quite well and absolutely love. Vicky says, can we please sign Joe Felix on a Haaland-style 10-year contract at York City? What a player this guy is. Absolutely class yet again today.
Well, I've said from, you know, I've been singing his praises from last season when I saw him at Worthing. You know, I think the signing of him at York was genius. And it doesn't surprise me because Adam Hinshelwood obviously had him at Worthing. He can play anywhere. You know, this season he's played left back, right back, central midfield, wide right, left side. He can literally do it all.
Yeah, another player to mention from Oldham, we've got Chad84 that said Jake Bleak was absolutely fantastic today. Oozes class and defended like a Trojan. Rossiter and Pett, so organised and efficient on the ball. There's more to that tweet as well, but Oldham, Mickey Mellon, they're on a good little run at the minute, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, and they're looking strong. You know, they had a little period where you're thinking, are the wheels going to fall off a little bit? But listen, Mickey's been there, done it. You know, he's been promoted out of this division before. He knows what it takes. And it was very much a case of just making sure that everyone's on the same page, everyone sticks to the game plan, and they'll get the points that they need. And, you know, they can feel really confident at the moment. And they've got goal scorers within their team. So, yeah, things are looking good for Oldham.
Yeah, it is looking good. And things are looking good for Gateshead as well after a big win at the weekend. And Christopher Story says, some way to bounce back after a tough January. Hopefully this gives us momentum going into 3 important home games in a row. Hopefully Malcolm's 2 goals gives him the confidence he needs on to the next one. Yeah, it's been a tough January for them, but it's good for them to get a positive result on the road.
Yeah, Gateshead are one of them teams that they have patches. You know, when they're on it, you know, they're far and away the best footballing side in the division. You know, I think everyone was surprised when they first came into the National League at just how much football they actually play. In doing that, sometimes you are going to have the odd result. You know, we saw it early in the season where they went and got beat 7 away at Dagenham. Once they get a bit of confidence in their squad, they're able to produce performances like they did at the weekend. And, you know, I have no doubt they'll go on from now to the end of the season and have a real good run at it.
And someone that's gone a little bit under the radar for Hartlepool, and this fan agrees, Hartlepool's Gary Medine has now scored 6 goals in his last 8 games for him. He has sort of fallen under the radar a little bit, hasn't he?
He has. And Gazzy's someone who I know well. You know, he's, a very good striker. You know, he's been around for a long time. He must be about 34 now, but he's had a great career. You know, played at some really big clubs and a lot of league experience. So for someone like him to come in and, you know, just be able to help the team, and now he's scoring goals as well. You know, that's the most important thing, is making sure that he's scoring goals and having a real influence.
Yeah, there are plenty of games happening tonight live on DAZN that you can watch. One of them is Hartlepool versus Tamworth. What are you expecting from this one?
It's an interesting game. Tamworth, they play some good stuff. I just don't know whether or not they've got that finishing touch. You know, in the game that I watched them against Halifax, for all the good play that they had, they just really lacked that finishing touch. Dan Craney wasn't available. Ponticelli started up top and he just looks a little bit short in terms of match fitness. Obviously hasn't played a great deal of football. So I think if they're able to get that bit right, very good team. They've done brilliant being a newly promoted team coming into this division and more than held their own. They just need to find that little spark. So could that be tonight? We'll have to wait and see. But Hartlepool in a good position now. They'll really have their sights set on set on those playoffs.
Yeah, and the two other teams that will have their sights set on the playoffs, Oldham versus Altrincham, that's happening tonight as well. We should be expecting plenty of goals. They've scored 47 each in the league. It's going to be a real good ding-dong, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great game. I'm a huge fan of Altrincham. You know, Regan Linney and Alex Newby are two of the, best players in this division. 26 goals and assists between them so far this season. You'd have to argue they're the best partnership. Even though I think Newby plays more wide, but as a pairing, they are probably the strongest pairing in this division. I think they're probably one of my tips for the playoffs. I said that last season, and then they just fell short. So yeah, I just love the way that Phil Parkinson sets his teams up, and I think he's a very good manager. This is going to be a very, very good game.
It is now time for Aaron to pick out his top 3 goals from the weekend. Good luck. What are you starting with at number 3?
So at number 3, I've gone, this is more of a team goal for Altrincham. Joe Nuttall is on the end of it, but I just love the way that Altrincham playing through the lines, ends up with Alex Newby, and again, the man who loves an assist, delivers on the plate. Joe Nuttall taps it in, helps Altrincham on their way to
scored that one as well. Nice little tap in, lovely.
I don't know.
Right, number 2.
Second spot goes to Josh Rees for Dagenham and Redbridge. Good volley here. Has to work his feet. It's a little bit behind him, but good control into the corner. And we know Josh Rees loves a goal, so another one for him.
Okay, you are a striker. You've scored many goals. Who's going in at number 1? I'm sure because you scored a hat-trick. Take your pick from one of Josh Stones'.
Yeah, I'm going for Josh Stones, but I'm going for his 3rd goal. Just the delivery from Joe Felix is on the money, but it's the way that not only he jumps, but the way he hangs in the air and generates the power to just guide it back across the goalkeeper, and it's for his hat-trick as well. So yeah, Josh Stones had to have one in there, and yeah, I'm giving him that one.
I think Josh Stones said as well on social media that was his favourite goal as well. Just how difficult is it to score a header like that? Because he's in the air for so long.
Yeah, well, first of all, to get up above the defender, and then he has to hang in the air. It's a difficult skill to do. He has to hang, and then he has to then generate the power to be able to guide it back across. Anywhere else, the goalkeeper makes a save. So it's a very difficult skill and technique to do. But, he does it perfectly. And, I'd like to say it's very McLean-esque.
Yeah, might be McLean-esque. It's definitely not Curly-esque. I definitely wouldn't have got that one on target. Right, after the break, we're going to be joined in the studio by a man who's been to over 2,500 football grounds. He needs no introduction. He is Mr. Non-League, Tony Incenzo.
"47 years of promoting boxing. What a ride it's been." I was 23 years old at the time. I got an invite from the Boxing Board of Control to take a licence out. Back then, it was all run by the cartel.
We have a new promoter in British Championship Boxing, Frank Warren.
People liked it, I think, the fact that someone was taking the cartel on. I've never been afraid about shaking things up and working with new media.
This is a bit of a dream come true.
Pay-per-view, satellite TV.
Very proud of Amir. What he done was fantastic.
Bringing shows in from America Live. I've been lucky enough to promote some of the biggest names in boxing.
I'd like to thank Mr. Frank Warren for having me over here.
Just when you think it can't get any bigger, my mobile rang. We get this call from His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. Off we went to the races. I'm as competitive as my fighters, and I fight for my fighters. I'm always looking for the next challenge, and I know there's one there now.
Queensbury arrives at the home of boxing, DAZN, multi-year deal, let's go.
This is a company that is devoted to boxing. They have a worldwide platform. And for us, that is very, very important to do what Queensbury is doing, to be expanding and building, working together for the betterment of boxing, as I believe it will be.
Hey everyone, I'm Ariel.
And I'm Addy.
Introducing the Ariel and Ade Boxing Show. all the headlines and hard-hitting debate from the world of boxing.
And we've got special guests every single week.
So if you love boxing, you'll love this program.
Every Tuesday, live on DAZN.
The UEFA Women's Champions League, the best in the world.
A thunder strike!
What a finish!
Sensational! Special goal!
Superstars aplenty.
That was lovely.
No! That's a majestic finish!
5-star Bayern. What a moment this is.
The next National League multi-match live is on February 19th. Our featured game will be Rochdale against FC Halifax Town. Myself and Matt Jarvis will bring you all the goals, drama and headlines from the National League exclusively live on DAZN from 7:30. Also catch all the goals and action from this week's round of the National League with our highlight show exclusively live on DAZN every Sunday from 4 p.m. We are delighted to be joined by our first guest on Zoom on the National League Vodcast. It is the main man, Mr. Non-League himself, Tony Incenzo. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you, chaps, and looking forward to a good chat about non-league football.
Yeah, you absolutely love it, as we do as well. Where were you at the weekend? What game did you go and visit?
Well, I do a lot of ground hopping, and I went down to the Plymouth area on Saturday, and I saw Ivybridge Town beat Paulton Rovers 2-1 in the Western League before an attendance of 89. And that takes me up to 2,620 football grounds visited. I just need another 20 now to complete the entire National League system. So that's every step from the National League down to step 6.
Where did your love for non-league football come from?
Well, I've always supported QPR, and I was a QPR season ticket holder from primary school. But when QPR weren't playing at home, I started to go to local non-league clubs. So in those days, it was Hendon, the old Finchley Football Club, and Barnet, who are now doing well in the National League promotion ranks. And I just loved it. I used to go with friends from school. It was in the 1970s. It wasn't really safe to go to a lot of professional games in those days because of crowd trouble. Hooligans were abounding across the London football scene. But at non-league, it was always a friendly and welcoming environment. So even as a 10-year-old, I could go with my mate from school and we could run around on the terraces and watch the game, and we'd always be welcome.
And the football's definitely improving as well, isn't it? Aaron next to me has played in the National League and the lower levels, but obviously gone on to play in the pro game as well. But, National League sometimes used to get a bad reputation with just the ball's getting booted up the pitch. It's all a bit of a habit sort of thing. But the levels have absolutely risen, haven't they?
Of course, yeah. And I mean, you make a very good point, because the National League, when it started in 1979 as the Alliance Premier League, it was part-time football. It was semi-pro. But over the years, nearly all the National League clubs now are full-time. Even clubs in the National League North and National League South, quite a few of them are full-time training, better facilities, much better pitches nowadays, of course. And so it's a really good product, the National League. And I think that was one of the reasons why it was formed in 1979, to increase the standard and get clubs ready to get into the Football League. And we've seen clubs over the years like Stevenage and Wycombe Wanderers and Cheltenham gain promotion and become very good established Football League clubs. And that's a tribute to the National League.
Tony, is it right that you've been to watch a football match that took place in a prison?
In a prison, yeah. In 2011, I got special permission to go inside Felton Prison to watch football. They had a team there called Phoenix FC, which was all young offenders. It was just after the London riots in 2011, so the place was full of young offenders who were being rehabilitated. And one of their privileges was to play football. So they had a football pitch inside the prison, surrounded by an 8-foot-high barbed wire fence. And I got special permission, and they were playing a team called Hanworth Villa Veterans, who were all over 40s, but were playing in this. There was a midweek league called the London Airport Midweek League, which were all teams connected to the London Airport, plus post office teams, firemen, and so on. And then this one prison team who had to play all their games at home because obviously the prisoners couldn't come out. So I got permission. We had to meet there an hour before outside the main gates. I had to meet with the away team, Hanworth Villa Vets, and I had to meet the referee, and we all had to wait in this room. We were signed in. We weren't allowed to take any phones in. We weren't allowed to take any cameras in. We went through a big security gate into a locked room. Big doors opened again. There were body scanners. It was like airport security. Then you had to go through another locked door and another locked door. You were finally escorted out to the side of the football pitch. The players, when the referee went to get changed, and the match commenced. And the actual prison team were really well behaved because it was a privilege for them. They were really skillful young players. They won the game 2-1. And I sat in the dugout on my own. The attendance, the official attendance, was 1, the fabled 1, because I was the only spectator at the game. And after the game, we were escorted out through 3 or 4 locked doors, again through security, and it took an hour to get out of the prison. And it really was a special occasion, and I really enjoyed it.
Mate, that's absolutely brilliant, and fair play to you to making all those journeys. Big news in the National League this week is the 3 up, 3 down from the EFL. There's been a talking point in and around the National League for a very long time. Where do you stand on it, and what do you think will happen?
Well, I think it's got to happen. It's a positive move forward. I mean, when we mentioned the Alliance Premier League, the National League was formed in 1979. It was to get clubs ready for Football League status. It took 7 or 8 years before the automatic promotion was confirmed, and Scarborough were the first team to actually go up to the Football League. And then years later, the playoffs and a second promotion place. But it's got to be 3 up, 3 down. It's got to be like the Football League. You see 3 clubs go up from the Championship. You see 3 clubs go up from League One and so on. It's got to be like that. And I think the original fear from existing Football League clubs was that if they dropped out of what was the old 4th division into what was the Alliance Premier League, they'd never come back. Because if you look back in history, clubs that left the Football League always went bust. I'm thinking of the original Accrington Stanley, the original Bradford Park Avenue, Aberdare Athletic, New Brighton. Once you dropped out of the Football League, it was a graveyard. But now, if you drop out, you're relegated from League Two into the National League. You're joining a vibrant professional league. And a lot of the clubs who've dropped out into the National League and have got promotion back have returned in a much better state. You look at Notts County going back up to the Football League. They were getting 5-figure crowds in the National League, much bigger crowds than they would have been getting when they were struggling in the Football League. And I had one crowd, I think, at Notts County a year or 2 ago where it was 16,000. Amazing. Chesterfield have gone back up, getting much bigger crowds. Lincoln, much bigger crowds, because they regrouped in the National League and they used it as a launch pad to progress their club and move everything forward. So there's no fear now for Football League clubs about dropping into the National League. They know they can get promoted. And if there are 3 promotion places, they've got an extra chance of going straight back up. So it's got to happen, and I think it will happen.
Do you echo that, Eric?
Absolutely. You know, we've been calling for it for a long time. Obviously, I started my career, 20 years ago in playing in the National League, and the progress that's been made in that period of time is screaming out to join the EFL. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's got to happen. There's no fear for clubs now dropping down because they know they can bounce straight back, particularly with 3 up, 3 down. And it also helps progressive non-league clubs to fight their way up as well. So it's really, really good. And if you look at the promotion chase this year, it's really exciting. You've got Barnet who've been up and down. You've got Forest Green Rovers who've been up and down. And what I particularly like at the moment is the resurgence of York City, because they dropped out of the Football League. They were in a mess. They lost their stadium, but they've rebuilt. I've been up to the new stadium at York City. It's fantastic. And all of a sudden, they're getting crowds doing well in the National League. They're getting crowds of over 5,000. I think they had well over 5,000 on Saturday at York City, which they wouldn't be getting if they were struggling before. When they were struggling before in the Football League, they were only getting 2,000. So it just shows the strength of the National League and how vibrant and how buoyant it is. And we'll look forward to a really exciting promotion chase this season.
Brilliant stuff. Tony, thank you very much for your time, mate. We look forward to seeing you complete your challenge of all the games in the National League and below.
Thanks very much, chaps. A pleasure to talk to you.
Right, there is plenty more football coming your way on DAZN this month. DAZN is the home of the UEFA Women's Champions League. Join us for the live drama of the knockout phase of the competition from March, with some fantastic ties to look forward to, with the likes of Manchester City taking on Chelsea and Real Madrid facing Arsenal. Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema and Sadio Mane are just 3 of the top stars featured in the Saudi Pro League throughout the season. 3 live matches every round live on DAZN. DAZN is the home of the National League. Watch live games, our highlight show, our vodcast and all our exclusive content now on DAZN. The next National League multi-match live is on February 19th. Our featured game will be Rochdale against FC Halifax Town. Myself and Matt Jarvis will bring you all the goals, drama and headlines from the National League exclusively live on DAZN from 7:30. Great to hear from Tony Incenzo there, man, that's been to many grounds, and I'm sure he wished he'd been at Hemel Hempstead this weekend because I think we've seen another goal of the season. Hamzed Kargbo, Chippenden Town, what a goal.
Yeah, fabulous strike. I think the best thing about this is obviously the ball doesn't touch the floor from the goalkeeper and he actually wins the initial header. He flicks it on, the defender tries to clear it and he just steps onto it. Left foot, volley, but it always looks better when it hits the crossbar. Barring in, fabulous strike.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Let us know on social media what's been your goal of the season so far. That is it from us here in the DAZN studio. We'll be back next week, same time.